At the Civil Rights Memorial and the Civil Rights Institute in Alabama, you can trace the history of the civil rights movement in America. Here you can learn about the people who fought to preserve their freedom, like the great Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
For centuries, the Native Americans of Alaska have practiced the art of carving totem poles. The images carved in the wood all symbolize some part of their native culture.
Totem Bight State Park north of Ketchikan contains dozens of totem poles carved in the 1800s, some over 40 feet tall. Arizona is home to some of the most beautiful natural wonders in the world. From the rugged red rock formations in Sedona to the spectacular Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon, carved out by the Colorado River over millions of years, is over 200 miles long and up to a mile deep.
Arkansas has nearly 10,000 miles of streams and rivers, and over 600,000 acres of lakes and reservoirs. So it's no wonder that tourists can find just about any type of water sport available here. More and more visitors each year discover that Arkansas is the place to have fun on the water.
California is known for its warm, sunny weather and beautiful beaches, but no trip to California would be complete without a visit to Hollywood, where you can stroll along the Hollywood Walk of Fame and visit the old Grauman's Chinese Theater. You might even try to fill the shoes of a famous Hollywood star. High in the snow-covered Rocky Mountains of Colorado, you'll find a winter wonderland. Each year, tens of thousands of skiers take a lift to the top of one of the many runs and experience some of the best skiing in the world. If you like to ski, it doesn't get any better than this.
New Haven, Connecticut is the home of Yale University, founded in 1701. Students from all over the world attend Yale to pursue their academic studies.
One of the premier colleges in the world, Yale is internationally recognized as a leading center of research and scholarship. Delaware was one of the original 13 colonies. Visiting Delaware is like going back in time.
The old covered bridges, fields, and farms are just like they were years ago. If you're lucky, you might still find an old-fashioned farmer's market.
The John F. Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, is where the space shuttle is launched. After intensive preparations, the astronauts board the shuttle for their adventure into space.
The shuttle, attached to giant booster rockets, climbs slowly from the pad, then gently rolls over to begin the trajectory that will put it into orbit around the Earth. The Okefenokee Swamp is in the southeastern part of Georgia. The land here has remained virtually unchanged for thousands of years. It is home to some of the strangest and most beautiful creatures in America. The Aloha Day Parade. Once a year, people from all of the Hawaiian Islands get together in Honolulu to celebrate their rich cultural heritage derived from people and races from all over the world.
It's beautiful, exciting, and everyone has lots of fun.
If you're the adventurous type, you can saddle up a horse and take a guided pack trip through the rugged Sawtooth Mountains, right in the middle of Idaho.
You'll travel over narrow trails through untouched wilderness, just like the early pioneers. It's a great way to see the breathtaking scenery of Idaho. The city of Chicago is located in the northeastern part of Illinois, on Lake Michigan, one of the Great Lakes. Downtown Chicago has a magnificent skyline, including the world's tallest building, the Sears Tower. Completed in 1974, the Sears Tower is over 1,400 feet tall.
Indianapolis, Indiana is the home of the Indianapolis 500, the most famous car race in the world. Every Memorial Day weekend since 1911, race drivers from all over the world have tested their skills in this grueling race. Hey, get out of my way! Iowa is a great place to be a kid. It's one big field of dreams.
In the summer, there are lots of places to enjoy the water, like the Cedar River near Cedar Rapids. If you want to have some summer fun, come to Iowa.
Follow the yellow brick road to Liberal, Kansas, also known as Dorothy's hometown in The Wizard of Oz.
You can see the model of Dorothy's house that was used in the movie in the Oz Museum, or meet with Dorothy's friends, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. Kentucky is famous for its bluegrass pastures, where some of the world's finest thoroughbred horses are raised. It is also the home of the Kentucky Derby, first run in 1875, now one of the most famous horse races in the world. Though horses come from all over, nearly 3/4 of the Derby winners have been from Kentucky.
Louisiana is known for its great music, friendly people, and delicious foods. But it is perhaps best known for the Mardi Gras, originally celebrated in Louisiana by French colonists in the 1700s. During Mardi Gras, people dress up in costumes and parade through the city, dancing, singing, and having a great time. The people of Maine have a long and rich seafaring tradition due to the beauty and bounty of their coast.
Here you can get lobster fresh from the sea, go sport fishing, or take a leisurely cruise and see the beautiful sights of the area, like the most famous lighthouse, the Portland Headlight.
The Chesapeake Bay stretches right through the center of Maryland. This magnificent bay provides commerce and transportation as well as a home for an abundance of wildlife.
The Chesapeake also provides recreational opportunities of all kinds.
Located in the eastern part of the state, Boston, Massachusetts is a city rich in colonial history. Every year, Bostonians relive that history with the Patriots' Day Parade, which takes place each April.
They also reenact the famous Boston Tea Party, when American patriots dressed as Indians threw English tea overboard into Boston Harbor to protest the hated British tax. You can have a blast sledding down the snow-covered hills at the Winter Sports Park in Petoskey, Michigan, near the Mackinac State Forest. It's a great place to play on a cold winter day, so bundle up and come on down. Near St. Paul, Minnesota, you can experience frontier life at historic Fort Snelling.
Constructed in 1819, Fort Snelling protected the early settlers from the Indians. Today, soldiers fire their cannons in realistic battle reenactments. Boy, is it loud! As the sun rises over the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, the shrimp fishermen are already hard at work harvesting the day's catch.
The hard-working shrimpers take their boats out very early, while it's still dark, so that they can deliver their catch to the markets in the morning.
The Mark Twain Museum is on the banks of the Mississippi River in Hannibal, Missouri, the birthplace of Mark Twain, the beloved author of the classic book Huckleberry Finn. During Hannibal's 4th of July celebration, you can see the fence that Tom Sawyer was supposed to whitewash and try your own painting skills. Montana has been the home of Native Americans for thousands of years, and there are still more than 10 different tribes living here.
Every year in July, Browning, Montana hosts North American Indian Days, where everyone takes part in traditional dances and games.
Every September, Omaha, Nebraska holds the River City Roundup Parade, celebrating Nebraska's Western heritage, complete with marching bands and gigantic balloon floats.
They also have a big wheel derby, where kids can race big wheels down Main Street for fun and prizes. Nevada's Lake Mead is one of the largest man-made reservoirs in the world. It was created in 1936 when the Hoover Dam was constructed on the Colorado River.
In addition to providing water and electricity for millions of people, Lake Mead offers many recreational activities to enjoy. In the White Mountains of eastern New Hampshire, you can take a ride on the historic Cog Railway. The Cog Railway carries passengers up to the 6,000-foot summit of Mount Washington, just as she did in the 1800s.
The railway is still powered by steam, and it takes a ton of coal and 1,000 gallons of water to make it to the top. In New Jersey, you can travel back in time more than 200 years to when America was just beginning. Tour the sites of nearly 100 historic battles of the Revolutionary War. Relive the crossing of the Delaware River by General George Washington and his troops at Trenton. And see the first American Army's winter camp at Morristown. New Mexico is known as the Land of Enchantment because of its natural beauty.
One of the best ways to experience New Mexico's sights is to hop aboard the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad steam locomotive and travel through the countryside of northern New Mexico. It's a great way to see all the beautiful scenery that New Mexico has to offer.
The Statue of Liberty in New York was a gift from France in 1876 to celebrate the U.S. centennial.
For over 100 years, she has proudly welcomed visitors to New York City. one of the world's largest and busiest metropolitan areas. North Carolina was the site of the first gold rush in the U.S. In 1799, gold was discovered near Charlotte, North Carolina.
So much gold was mined that Congress established a mint in Charlotte in 1837, and even today that city is the third largest financial center in the U.S.
These are the Badlands of North Dakota, where dinosaurs once roamed millions of years ago. The fossils of many of these ancient animals have been preserved by the unique conditions here.
At the Dakota Dinosaur Museum, many of these fossils and replicas of the creatures they came from are on display.
Ooh! If you like action, Cedar Point in Ohio has the largest collection of roller coasters in the world. The newest one, Magnum XL 200, has been rated the #1 roller coaster in the U.S.
At 205 feet tall with a top speed of 72 miles per hour, Magnum is one of the highest and fastest roller coasters on the planet. Yow! In Oklahoma, the American Indian is honored, here on the Great Plains of his ancestral home.
Cowboys are also honored in the Cowboy Hall of Fame, featuring the largest collection of cowboy and Native American art in the world. Oklahoma is a real part of the Old West. Oregon's tallest mountain, Mount Hood, rises majestically over 11,000 feet above the plains, overlooking the famous Oregon Trail.
This is the route that nearly 300,000 early pioneers took in the mid-1800s as they made their way west. This is Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love. Here, the Founding Fathers of the United States created and signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776. The room has been preserved to look as it did over 200 years ago. The famous Liberty Bell is also on display here. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the U.S., and, despite its name, Rhode Island is not completely surrounded by water. There is plenty of it, though, from sparkling harbors to windswept cliffs. The unique beauty of its rugged coastline makes Rhode Island a big place to see. On the coast of South Carolina, along the white sands and sparkling blue water of the Atlantic, is Myrtle Beach, the heart of a beautiful 60-mile stretch called the Grand Strand.
Each year, thousands of tourists flock here to swim or just have fun, making it one of the most popular beaches in the U.S. The sculpture on Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills of South Dakota took over 14 years to complete. The faces of 4 U.S. presidents are carved into the granite hills. They are George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln.
Tennessee's capital, Nashville, is also the country music capital of the USA.
Since 1925, the Grand Ole Opry has been home to country music's most popular performers. Every day, recording studios throughout Nashville are busy recording music for tomorrow's stars. The Old West is alive and well in Texas, where rodeos are very much a way of life. Young cowpokes still display their skills in roping and riding contests, like the Southwest Exposition and Livestock Show held each January in Fort Worth. Ride 'em, cowboy! The Wasatch Mountains above Salt Lake City, Utah, contain some of the best ski slopes in the United States.
If you don't know how to ski, you can take lessons and quickly learn. Then you'll be ready to take a chairlift up and hit the slopes. It's easier than it looks, and lots of fun.
Vermont is known for the beautiful fall foliage that occurs every September. All the leaves of the trees turn brilliant hues of yellow, orange, and red because of the sap trapped by the chilly weather.
Perhaps the most beautiful leaves of all are those of the sugar maple, the state tree of Vermont, and the same tree that gives us maple syrup. Virginia was one of the original 13 colonies. Williamsburg, Virginia is a fully reconstructed colonial town, complete with colonial militia. Everything is just like it was 200 years ago. It's as if time stood still.
Virginia was also the site of many Civil War battles, like the Battle of Bull Run, which is recreated every year so we remember what happened over 100 years ago.
Our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., is full of monuments and historic buildings, but no trip would be complete without a tour of the Smithsonian Institution.
Here you can see hundreds of exhibits, ranging from dinosaurs to the actual lunar module that landed the first men on the moon. There's a tall, unique-looking building in Seattle, Washington called the Space Needle. You can take an elevator all the way to the top, where there is an observation deck. From here, you can look out over Seattle to Mount Rainier, a dormant volcano rising over 14,000 feet in the air.
The area that is now West Virginia was first colonized in the 1700s by settlers taming the new frontier.
With hard work and perseverance, these early pioneers transformed the wilderness into communities and towns, like Charleston, the capital of West Virginia. Wisconsin offers some of the best fishing in the U.S. You can try your luck at any one of more than 15,000 lakes that dot the state.
If you don't catch anything at the lake, you are sure to catch a good time at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame in Hayward, where they have giant-sized sculptures of all types of freshwater fish, including a giant muskellunge, the official state fish. Wyoming is known for her spectacular natural wonders, from the Grand Tetons to nearby Yellowstone Park, the oldest national park in the U.S., established in 1872.
There's an abundance of wildlife and many underground hot springs and geysers, including the most famous, called Old Faithful.